about 40 students, which makes this the most popular subject of that semester. In this video, I'll be reviewing Stuart Harrison's Elective Heritage course that you can do under the Masters of Architecture degree at University of Technology, Sydney. The course is run by Stuart Harrison, a man with a lot of credentials. He has his own architectural practice. He was also the host for Restoration Australia in season 1 and 2. The current host of Restoration Australia is Anthony Burke, who was also my teacher for my most recent studio. The course is split up into 3 parts, which I will basically just go over. So it's a lot of class discussion and self-guided research. Weirdly enough, there were students along the way who were getting confused when being told they need to do their own work, which is very strange. But assignment 1A was literally finding 2 examples of what Stuart Harrison has coined the term of elective heritage. And that's where you treat something as though it's heritage, but it's not legally heritage listed. Everybody had to find a unique example of elective heritage. And before we presented this assignment, we all made sure that we looked at different texts and different buildings. So when everybody presented a class, we all had a chance to come across some new study or make sure that there was no overlapping amongst ourselves, because there were about 40 students, which makes this the most popular subject of that semester. I looked at Quay Quarter Tower. What basically makes this elective heritage in a sense is that they kept the existing framework and they expanded upon it. Pessimistically, that was to save money. And then for the international example of elective heritage, I looked at the Museum of Contemporary African Art in Cape Town, which is in my opinion, the coolest example of elective heritage, and that's why I decided to choose it. And then you had to write a bit about it and do some research. And it was really just a matter of presenting these cool concepts to the class. Assignment 2, we had to make our own magazine of an example of elective heritage. Now, it was up to the students to decide if they did the local example first in assignment 2 or the international in assignment 3. You could mix and mash, but one had to be international, one had to be local, i.e. an Australian, because this course is in Australia. So I looked at Tenerife House. Basically, you had to write something that is sensible and speaks in the vernacular. There was no conservation or heritage obligation by the architect, but they preserved the vibe of the thing, so to speak. So that's assignment 2, and half of it is really about how you present yourself and document, and then the other half was about writing something. I kind of veered away from the topic of the house somewhat, but I'll read you the in conclusion bit. Tenerife House is symptomatic of an emerging bureaucratic realization between when preservation becomes a pathology that kills the heritage, as it doesn't allow for ongoing use in the act of retaining outdated modes of dwelling, an unrestrained elective heritage that retains the heritage elements while renewing the site's relevance for contemporary expectations, in this case the residential. It falls under the observation that if we don't allow for functional change when the site requires any, our shared remnants of the past will dilapidate into non-existence. The usability of implementing elective heritage can enrich our cultural experience and bring common appreciation of what existed before. This in turn cultivates a communal desire to, much the same way as brightening the mood of a stranger through a nice gesture, in turn results in the stranger doing something nice for another. My general theory will be proven if the surrounding neighborhood uses Tenerife House as an exemplar for what they are capable of inspiring through elective heritage. So there you go, it kind of ties it back together, and it's informal tone. Because this isn't an essay per se, it's more of a article. And assignment 3 was the hardest. Well, it is what you make of it. Some people chose tiny houses for ease of time. I chose the Museum of Contemporary African Art, which is a giant project. I think I described it as a fucking massive thing. And then Stuart goes, "Is that the technical term?" And I shouldn't have said that in class, but it is giant. So the idea is you have to do plans, sections, elevations, even a perspective, well, compulsory perspective. Some people did axonometrics. You don't want to do anything that this guy tells you not to do, because people lost marks. They didn't listen to him. And I say this in all my other videos, if you listen to what your teachers are telling you, you'll be fine. If you don't agree, it doesn't matter. You have to learn through their perspective. You might learn something new anyway. You got to challenge yourself and put yourself in other people's shoes. For every plan, every section elevation, you need to do an existing, a demolition, and a proposed. And that way, in PDF format, you're able to cycle through what happened. And what made this building so challenging for me to document is that there was very little to work off. So I found myself using photographs to understand how the building was demolished or reconstructed. Luckily, there were a lot of floor plans provided by the architects, Heatherwick Studios, on their website, but even then it was vague and misrepresenting what they were actually doing. And then you see how they've kind of added double floors in here and played with some void space. So, and then there's the dramatic cut. This was a giant project about excavation, more so than preserving the heritage, and I wasn't sure if they even kept the original building. I don't think they could have possibly added this extra floor in, and you see how it changes slightly. I don't think they could have done that without demolishing all the walls. I had to trace over, I had to redraw, do the fills. It unfortunately becomes a massive drafting exercise. Yeah, it's really cool that I could draw that. Like, if I didn't draw this, I wouldn't have picked up that as you go up, the windows get smaller. And that's a classical trick to make things look as though they're getting higher up as they repeat an element. And then finally, you get the existing perspective, and I thought I would have to do an interior shot because you can't see the epic proportions of carving out space from outside, sorry. So I decided to go inside. So this is what I imagine the view used to be. I'm sure it used to have a lot of pipes going up here, but I am not good at 2D drawing. And then this whole challenge here was, well, how do you display the carving out from the U? And it really shines in this moment. So it shows that they've had to carve these domes out. And then in addition to all this work I did, it was not mandatory to do, but I felt essential because this project is just a mind blow of awesome architecture, really inspirational stuff. I don't say that usually, but I just find everything about this project awesome. So I documented from start to finish, and I used my drawings as well to display how I came to understand and the rationalizations behind how I think the building's layout is done, from demolition to proposed. And then I used that with supporting photographs. Pretty difficult, came together. Some people spent a lot more time on the perspective than I would have liked to personally. So you can see I kind of went really easy on the staircase there, but it left an impression. But I still enjoy it, and it's really nice to flick through this. I thought it was going to be more theory-based, but I'm still not upset about the task we did because it made me think very hard about a difficult project. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions about this subject or other courses or general impressions, please ask away. I'm a very small channel, so the likelihood of me responding is basically 99.9%. Alright, till next video.